Hi, Jehovah's Witnesses. Thanks very much. I was trying to fiddle with the camera there a little bit. Still so amateurish, it's terrible. As you know, in my last video, I left you with Kingdom Hall gossip. Everyone loves gossip. We are trained to do it, and we're trained to get the information out of people, winkle it out with our winkle pickers, so that we can tell the elders so we can get them in trouble. That's the whole purpose of being a Jehovah's Witness when you think about it, isn't it? So, without a doubt, let's go down. Now, I warn you, some of the first ones are pretty bad in this video, and they're not very nice. But this is the gossip that we all dealt with. And bear in mind, these are the organizations, these are the people who are going to survive Armageddon. They're going to make it, you're not. Okay, remember that. My sister's boyfriend blew his head off in front of her after being disfellowshipped that night. They found her rocking him in her arms hours later, with his eyeball out and his brain all over. That's so sad. That's horrible. Dear me. I was 17 years old, unbaptized publisher of a high-ranking elder, and they arranged for a 21-year-old baptized pioneer sister to study with me. Turns out she was doing a bit more than studying, because they dated for 3.5 years. Good for you guys. They only actually broke up after the day before she got baptized. You should have just carried on, ladies. Dear me. Wife swapping was rampant. It occurred in the neighbouring congregation. It's always the neighbouring congregation. I notice people saying it's not their congregation. Oh, I wouldn't possibly wife swap. Not me. It's those neighbours. Those bad ones from 10 miles away, you know. The only anointed man in our hall, an 80-year-old guy, he got DF'd for financial dealings that went public. Oh, dear me. I don't see many of them boys getting DF'd. Do you? Sure you don't. Wife swapping was a big thing in the 90s. I remember hearing about it. Sure, you just heard about it. In the early 80s in Ontario, a whole group of young people got into orgies, no less. Shit never happened at my congregation. At least no one invited me to any orgies. Typical, the elders' kids got a slap on the wrist. The disadvantaged poor ones got DF'd. Oh, you shock me. You telling me that there's two standards? There's two sets of weights? Looked like I was weighing boobies there, but it really wasn't. Here's a sad one. At 19, I was molested by a special pioneer who just moved into our congregation. He was 20 years a Bethel servant. So really, the peak, the pinnacle, the tops of Jehovah's Witnessness. I spoke to the elders. Of course, a committee was held with me and three brothers and the special pioneer who had assaulted me. I was assured that the brothers would handle the matter, and then I was moved to serve the Needles Greater. Shocker. A few years later, I received a phone call from Bethel asking me questions regarding my molestation. Turns out the situation had never been handled by the brothers, nor had 10 other situations, including rape, been handled. The sexual abuser's wife had committed suicide in a hotel because she could no longer put up with being married to a rapist. She left her suicide note and it was published in the newspapers. That's disgusting. I'm so sorry for you as well. What a horrible thing to happen to you. Quite a few in my old congregation, Essex, UK, were going through marital problems, and so the elders thought it'd be a great idea to ask an elder and another elder's wife to study with my parents to get them back on track. Truth is, they were actually having an affair with each other and ran off together, leaving families behind. I don't even believe they were disfellowshipped. Just moved to another congregation, and their spouses divorced them. See how it works? If you're good, if you've got the right people, you're not getting punished, people. My mate, a ministerial servant, and his wife were good friends. I should hope so. Oh, my mate, a ministerial servant, and his wife. So 3 people, not 2 people, because I'm good friends with my wife. That's no big deal. The watchtower overseer, an elder, and 4 kids. They were seeing each other, and I'm the one that let the cat out of the bag. Oh dear, the affair caused a terrible rift in the hall. The elder never got this fellowship, as his dad was on the body. He is now an elder again, and I know he's a liar and a fake, and he just loves the adoration. He lied to my face with fake tears and many others. There are hundreds of these stories, but sure, we all know they're not moral people, he says. And of course we know that, guys. We know they're not moral people. Another elder was giving a talk in my hall about the importance of fidelity in marriage, whilst his wife and newly baptized mistress were sitting in the hall. When it was discovered, the husband went back to his wife, and the poor young single mother, newly baptized, was publicly reproved and packed off to another congregation. She's married to someone else within a year. It's like the Amish, isn't it? But I can't even imagine the Amish are as dirty as that. And they call it the truth. Dear me. A JW father of 4 and hubby was found dead in his bath. His wife had wanted a divorce and also claimed he had touched their 14-year-old daughter, so wanted full custody of the kids. the death wasn't ruled a suicide, but homicide, as the circumstances surrounding the death led police to believe no one can drown in that matter. At the memorial, the wife was the last to walk in, fully made up and hairstyled and not one tear. Oh, you Jezebel, you. She gave all her expensive household items to a pioneer couple, sold their expensive house, got $1 million life insurance, and moved back to the Gold Coast, where her rich parents live, and younger sis also went to, after their own divorce and accusations of her hubby's child sexual abuse. They all now live in adjacent properties. I'm still friends on Facebook with the sister. The dad was in the last congregation I recently left. Dear me. That's quite a story, isn't it? It was after, but I left. I left. But a childhood friend in the congregation's mum died, and her dad was remarried to a much younger woman in the space of 12 weeks. The friend also ended up on Jeremy Kyle. If you're not from the UK, Jeremy Kyle is Jerry Springer, but for slightly scummier people. Ugh, makes you shiver just thinking about the show. Although ironically, Jeremy Kyle's wife recently discovered that his wife had been cheating on him with a polo player, no less. Ooh, a polo player. Dear me. After I left, they finally got a heterosexual presiding overseer after 2 gay ones in a row. 2 gay ones in a row. You can't find many heterosexuals, can you? Oh my God, the one who got in trouble and the one after him when the acting PO from Brooklyn went back to Bethel. His wife sat next to me at work, and then when I relocated to another office, a few years later she showed up, and there she was. She showed up, and there she was again in the cube next to me. She was always kind and polite, never unfriendly, although she did spend her break time writing letters to people from the obituaries. That's a Jehovah's Witness thing that's so classy, isn't it? Listen, I need some time to fill for my pioneering, so what I'll do at my lunchtime is I'll just look through the dead list and send people letters. That is so sick, man. That's so sick. There's a couple in my hall where I had the worst experiences. He married her when she was 21 and he was in his 40s. They seemed happy, but she wanted children. But he had already had 3 in his first marriage. She started working out at the gym and meeting his Haitian bodybuilder. Oh, she made a Haitian bodybuilder. She ends up leaving her husband for him. He took her down to Florida with him to the kids, but they became abusive to her and ended up getting deported. Ah! So she's stranded in Florida and pregnant with his child. Her JW husband takes her back. She got disfellowshipped and the baby was stillborn. Ah! That's horrible. I'll eat that. Something like that happened to us. It's not nice. She ended up getting reinstated, and now they have a son of their own. This shit is better than The Young and the Restless. Yes! Okay! Go for it, son! It's my son. He wants a nice lolly. Go get one! I'm amazed at how many people in this thread refer to wife swapping in the JWs. Really? I was never aware of anything like that in my hall. Apparently it happened. What can I tell you? I just remembered another one. I love it when people go, I had more than one. This brother lost his wife suddenly to a heart attack. That's very sad. Shortly after her death, he marries a younger woman who, with quite a scandalous reputation herself. They were married for about a year when one night she snapped and beat the crap out of him. Seriously, she put him in the hospital. Needless to say, they got divorced after that. I don't think you can get divorced for being beat up. You can't. You have to be cheated on. Sorry, you're stuck with her. Just learn to box. That's what I do. My wife can beat me up. Oh, I don't do it anymore. One guy got the F for getting a girl pregnant. Yeah, that'll do that. Before his child turned a year old, he had already been reinstated and DF'd again for getting a different girl in the congregation pregnant and leaving his girlfriend for her. You man whore. You should be disfellowshipped. Good God. You bad man. Not him, he was the guy writing it. That's a terrible thing to do. I remember when I was 5 or 6. Lived in a city with our state penitentiary. The elders assigned prison visitation, started a Bible study with a guy who was incarcerated but about to be let out. For some reason, he was in touch with one of the spiritually weak single mothers in our congregation via letter writing, and they fell in love and got married. It was all super questionable, but the elders were just glad they had someone studying the Bible. They will be. Anyway, the guy got out, and shortly afterwards he got baptized. I don't remember much in detail, but I do recall that he was a charismatic, funny man. Yeah, either fight or be funny in prison, I suppose. He also liked to sell low-priced items to the families in the congregation, which everyone loved because it was a poor congregation. Anyway, this man was out of prison and in the congregation for several months. I think I know where this story's heading. when it finally discovered that he'd been casing the houses he was visiting on the ministry, robbing them, and then fencing the stolen property through the congregation. He was arrested and disfellowshipped shortly after. What a clever boy. What a clever man. I used to work in a prison. I did. I was actually a prison officer for some time, and horrendous stories I could tell you. Maybe I will someday. Anyway, my mom and I were talking about a brother from our congregation who would get married, bring his wife on, cheat on her to get divorced, and then get DF'd and remarry her again, or to bring another one in. After a while, he had 4 women in our congregation that were his ex-wives. I actually have a relative, my mom's cousin, who did similar. He left his wife of 30 years and decided to date several women while trying to get reinstated. He would alternate bring them to the meetings. Oh, I'm sure they loved that. Oh, it's just another friend of mine, our Johnny. Yes. Oh dear. Finally, elders said to him, "You're not getting reinstated until you stop dating all these women. Pick one." Unfortunately for him, 2 of these women continued on and got baptized. He got reinstated, remarried to his sister from a neighbouring congregation, and his new wife befriended the other new sisters in the hall, unaware at first of how the 2 had become witnesses. Oh yeah. Go out in service discussing your ex-partner's lover / boyfriend. Oh, that sounds fun. Last comment. This is it. Just remembered a contemporary of mine as a young man. He wasn't very active as a witness. I don't even think he did field service. He married a good-looking woman in the congregation. How did he get away with that? I was out in service all the time. Nobody running off to marry me. Lord. And they had 3 children. He and I both worked at the same large construction site for several years. Shortly after the job was completed, we were both out of work, so we partnered up and made a road trip to Ohio for a job. It didn't last long since we both missed our families. He had the car, and while we were there, he was off partying nearly every night. So he beat feet as soon as he landed a job closer to home. I bought an old beater car for $75 and followed suit about a week later. Fast forward about 3 years, following my divorce, coming out of the closet, and getting DF'd. I ran into him somewhere, invited him to a gay bar. Oh, I've been to a gay bar once. Yeah, I nearly did the door, bouncer at a gay bar, and but I didn't in the end. I didn't do it in the end. I don't know why. I did bouncer for a while too. Anyway, he reluctantly agreed, and as long as no one put the moves on him, he had a good time. At some point, he revealed he'd been cheating on his wife every chance he got. That's sad. I don't cheat on my wife, genuinely. I don't expect a reward for it, or a big hug, but I just think it's disgusting. I should have connected the dots long before then. He was still in the religion. He crashed at my place for the night. I gave him a bed and took the floor. We hadn't actually fallen asleep when he said he'd always wondered what it would be like to suck a guy's cock. I have never wondered what it would be like to suck a guy's cock. Then he asked if I wanted him to do anything or not. Well, I certainly didn't want to disappoint him. Oh, dear me. You know what? If you've ever wondered what it's like to suck a guy's cock and you're not a female, then you're probably gay. Just saying. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, I'm putting these out mostly because I'm a dick, but also because these are people who say they're better than you. These are the people who want you to convert to them. This is what they're doing behind the scenes. Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not making you better. It's only making you more of a hypocrite. Take care.